All right, today we're going to talk about everything having to do with the PSSAs. So if you live in Pennsylvania and you have a kid in the 3rd to 8th grade, we're going to tell you everything that you should know about the PSSA so that you and your family can get the most out of this mandated test. It is coming up the end of April to the middle of May is the PSSA testing window. So be in the lookout for info from your kids' school about when PSSA testing is. Okay, let's jump right into this. So why do many parents, when they get their test scores back, have a wave of emotions? It could be anything from confusion to frustration to what is this even for? So why might a parent feel confused or just like a fish out of water when they get their kids' PSA test scores back from the school?
Well, I think the first and the biggest reason is because PSSAs as a test were really never designed for parents. They weren't meant to be a diagnostic tool that tells parents how their kids are doing in school.
Okay, so that's good to know. So parents, it wasn't even originally designed for you.
No, we started taking the PSSAs in Pennsylvania in like 1992, and really they were meant more as an accountability tool at the systems level, districts, schools, classrooms. Like is your curriculum working?
Mm-hmm.
You might have changed curriculums. You notice a dip across grade levels in PSSA performance. Maybe this wasn't a great choice. You could have any number of changes at the school or district level. And if you notice this high level trend in a large swath of your students, you would use that to make changes. And that's really what they were designed for.
Okay, so this is more like a system-wide tool. This is kind of like above our pay grades.
Yeah.
It's a system-wide tool. So that's getting into a little bit of what the PSSA is. So for us to fully understand like what it is it actually designed to do? Tell us some more details, like what grade does it start in? Why is this such a big moment for families?
So it starts in 3rd grade. You take the PSSAs in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. In 5th and 8th grade, you take a science PSSA, and in all of those grades, you take an English language arts and a math PSSA. And this is a big deal because it's one of the first times, especially in 3rd grade, that your student is being measured across all the kids in the state of Pennsylvania, and that your school is being assessed across all the schools, all the districts, in what do your students know?
It's very competitive.
And can they apply it? And what does that look like? So it's one of the first times they're really being asked to do that. And particularly, it's where they have to start writing down their thinking. Before this, they've taken mostly the STAR test,
which has no writing, correct?
There's no written component to the STAR test. It's just a computer There's the computer adaptive section, and then there's the sections they administer, like oral fluency, number fluency, things like that.
So the PSSA really should be it is a big moment. It is a big milestone in a kid's educational journey in Pennsylvania.
It is. And I'm sure if you are listening from somewhere else, you probably have a similar test that your kid takes where, it could be called anything, but it's essentially assessing their reading across like vocabulary, comprehension. Can they write? Usually there's some kind of text dependent analysis. Can I read something? Can I write about it? And then for math, you've got 4 main areas. You've got numbers, algebraic reasoning, geometry, and data analysis. So how are you at doing
all of those things?
Right.
Yep. So would you say it's more of let's see, I want to get into that question later. So now let's look at this from the kid's point of view. Yeah. What's this feel like for a kid?
So
are kids excited to take the PSSAs? They should be.
you can get them hype. You got to do nice things for them. So if you're a teacher and you're listening to this and you want your students to perform the best they can on a PSSA, really like try to make it an exciting time to come to school. Like when we get here in the morning, I'm going to have something cool for you.
Yeah.
I realize this is excessive.
No, but it's absolutely necessary. Like,
but it helps.
I mean, it's like when here in Delaware, we're an NWEA state, and for like a very long time, I was an NWEA teacher. So like I got I think I was actually pretty good at it, but like I don't know, maybe it's an older kid thing, but like you definitely cannot get a student's buy-in for a test unless you inform them, you tell them what it's for, you tell them what their scores mean, you tell them what their last score was, you tell them what their goal is, you give them you do your best at giving them internal incentive, external incentive for actually doing better on this test. Like if you don't go out of your way to create this incentive, then this like motivation to do well on the test, most kids are not just going to come motivated to do the test.
Right.
And like I really feel like families can do a lot there too, like breakfast, snacks, good night's sleep, get them excited, like remember your scores from last year. So yeah, there's a lot that the adults in a kid's life should be doing,
yes,
to create the best environment for these kids to take a test, because the tests without that are long.
They are. They're really
so
long.
So exactly like how long are they?
You're sitting for, I think it's 2 sections of math, 3 sections of math, and like 3 or 4 sections of ELA.
Mm-hmm.
They are anywhere from 60 minutes to like an hour and a half. And your kid is taking a total of 6 to 7 hours of tests over the course of maybe 3 days in 1 week and 2 days the next week. So like usually it's just in the morning. So I would say one of the big things you can help motivate kids to do is be on time for school. That's really important.
Oh yeah, otherwise you're taking makeups.
I used to make fruit parfaits. You only got one if you were on time.
Yeah.
You got a little fruit parfait in the morning before your PSSA.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
that was really my 5th graders. It's not as, here's how this test really impacts like your scores from last year and like building towards your future. It wasn't as much of like you need good scores for this thing. It was more just like we're going to do our best. We're going to try and like do better than we did last year. And the big thing for my kids was like write something, anything in the sections that require writing.
Yeah, I can definitely see where like the strategies to hype up a 5th grader and a 9th grader are different.
Very different.
Very different.
Very different.
Yeah, yeah.
You put a little like candy on their desk with a note that tells them how proud of them you are. They're like feeling pretty good about themselves. They're 10.
Yeah, yeah.
You've done it.
Snacks go a long, long way.
Snacks. And if you're a parent and you're really sensitive to this time of year, you could always send in, organize the other parents in your class if you like have, sway like that. And like each day send in some snacks.
That'll help. I would tell kids during NWA testing, I was like, bring a snack. Like I will not tell you that you can't.
Yeah.
Like there were kind of like regulations about like what the room needed to look like in the testing environment. And, I bent some of those rules. I ignored some of those rules, but so it can be a stressful test. It can be a fatiguing test.
It can be.
Endurance is definitely a thing.
It is.
Like, can you pay attention after 45 minutes of answering multiple choice questions?
Right.
And you're in 3rd grade.
Right. And there's definitely things that make it easier.
Yeah.
A good example. So the PSSA is not just multiple choice questions tied to nothing. A lot of it is reading, sustained reading of passages that are informational. And if you want to support your student in being able to do well on those,
make sure that they can read in a sustained way.
Right.
What we mean by sustained reading is like, I can sit down and read for 5 minutes. Like I can do that.
Right.
I don't get bored after 30 seconds or
And
like disengage.
and to help sustain that reading, build their content knowledge around a number of things. Like make sure they just know things about science and social studies
Yeah.
because informational knowledge in those two subjects will help your student be able to sustain reading because they're not reading about something that's completely outside of what they know stuff about.
Yeah. It would be like if we sat down and took an SAT test, but all the reading passages were about modern art. We'd be like, oh God,
It
I
would,
don't know anything about modern art.
or economics,
Or like,
throwback to one of our last
yes,
episodes.
or economics, we would do poorly. So
We
yeah,
would
like
do
having
poorly.
that wide background of
Yeah.
background knowledge and just like knowing stuff about things.
Yeah. Make sure they know
Surprisingly
stuff
important.
about things.
Know stuff about things.
Or they have a framework
A
for
framework.
understanding. Like,
That's the teachery way to put it, a framework.
I'm breaking down a passage that's about a historical event. Maybe I don't know anything about this historical event, but I do know when I learn about historical events, I want to know who is the person, who is the person or group of people that this event is about, what is influencing this event to happen, what's impacting it, and like what are some of the outcomes of that event, what's changed today. So like if I'm reading about historical events and I have sort of that idea of like I'm looking for who or what it's about, why it's happening,
Yeah.
and why that matters, then I'm going to be more successful reading than if I'm just like,
it's not your first rodeo reading some historical content.
yes.
Okay, so what it feels like for kids. Obviously it's very long. It's not a hard it's a hard test. You got to have that test endurance. How can we help hype kids up, do our best to motivate them, give them snacks, and of course ensure that they have reading stamina. Without the reading stamina, at least there'll be snacks, you know?
It's the least you can do.
It's the least you can do, snacks.